Hello, Steve Arts 89. Some sad news. A couple of celebrities that I love, that I've always been a fan of, have had some medical problems. Christina Applegate and Kathy Griffin. Now, Kathy Griffin announced recently, now she actually got COVID. Last thing I heard of her was she was actually being treated for COVID and how scary it was, basically being alone in a room and not being able to talk to anyone and not knowing what was going to happen, and a little worried about it. She was fine, but her mother died, and I was worried about how she'd take that because she was already struggling a bit with being cancelled thanks to Donald Trump basically using the entire force of the American government and the FBI and everything to basically try and ruin her life. But then she announced that she had lung cancer, and she also had been fighting an opioid addiction. Now, when I saw her last live, she looked incredibly thin and not well. I thought it was the stress. The first time I saw her in Australia, because I've seen her twice, the first time it was fine. It was great. Unfortunately, I had always been a fan of hers, but I'd really fallen in love with her Life on the D-List show, and she seemed to be very accessible to fans, very just sort of doing things to be famous and keeping the limelight, and very much underplaying her real celebrity, I think. And I kind of thought I'd be able to meet her at the show, and I saw some people who were waiting near the stage door and all that, and I sort of said to them, have you done this before? Have you seen her before? And they said, like, yeah, last time she was here, we waited, she came out, she took photos, it was great. I'm like, okay. And yeah, we saw her get into a car all the way in a car park, and then she just drove out, and she was like down in the back of the back seat of the car, like all we saw was a little bit of red hair. That was it. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I didn't finish watching Life on the D-List. And I was kind of a bit bitter about that. And then she got cancelled over Trump, which I thought was totally ridiculous. She wasn't holding a severed head. She was holding a mask with tomato sauce on it, and it was a reference to his his misogynistic comments about women and period blood and them bleeding and stuff like this. So it was a political comment. It was an artistic comment. She has a right to do that as an artist and a comedian. And the fact that they came after her legally and tried to have her charged with like being a terrorist, like she threatened the president, it was really disturbing when you sort of saw all the things they did to her. And I thought just the stress of all that. Now she had to rebrand herself, start from scratch. She was able to buy up all her content and everything and market herself because no one would have anything to do with her. She went through a lot. And when I saw her and she just looked like this stick thin, like the life had just been sucked out of her, and she just shriveled up in like stress or something, I sort of thought that's not going to do good for her long term. And then yeah, she sort of during the COVID, everyone sort of disappeared. She did a few videos which are kind of cool on that, but yeah, she came out that she had an opioid addiction. Now I'm guessing that was part of being that thin, and that was part of that. And I'm guessing that had a bit to do with having her life absolutely destroyed and constantly having threats from right-wing nutjobs to kill her. And her mother, and of course her mother died, which she was very close to her mother, and everyone loved Maggie. I mean, I cried when she died. I was really sad, and I was sort of worried about her. I thought, God, she's lost her career and her mother. What, how is she going to get through this? I was worried for her. And if you love celebrities and you follow people like that, you care about them like extended family. It's really strange. And then she announced she had lung cancer. I was like, oh no. And then the addiction like that made sense, but lung cancer, I'm like, and then I'm thinking, well, you know what, comedian, standing up in bars, people smoking and all that while she's doing stand-up, it kind of makes some sense. A few years ago, I had an accident, and when I went out to clubs, I wasn't dancing all night like I used to because of the medical problems. So I ended up spending a lot of time in the smoking area talking to people. And 2 years in a row, I actually had really bad coughs in the winter and that, and we realised it was passive smoking. So I changed my lifestyle, and the next year, no problems. It's like any other year, I'd never have any problems in the winter. But 2 years in a row, I had the worst cough and cold and everything. It was because of passive smoking. But your lungs do heal themselves. I'm fine. She's had treatment. She seems okay. It looks like they got it early. But it's just kind of worrying. So it just is now. Christina Applegate. I love Christina Applegate. I've loved her since she was in Married with Children. I loved her in Jessie. I loved her in the random movies she's done. I loved her in the last series she did, which I cannot remember the name, which is really annoying me. I just assumed, I didn't write any notes for this because I just assumed I'd remember, but she just did a show on Netflix in the second season now. It was really good. I'm not going to give any of it away, but I really enjoyed it, and she was dealing with the death of her husband and that as well in it, and I kind of related to some of that as I've just, seems like recently, it was like 4 years now, dealing with my mother's death, and I sort of related to that. And I think as you get older, you sort of have these experiences, and it does change how you look at life. So I really was enjoying the series, and I just was watching a lot of interviews of her and thinking, God, I'd love to meet her. She's so nice. She's so great. I really respect her as an actress and a person and everything. And now I'm like, oh, damn, she's got MS. Now, there's different kinds of MS. There's M&S, which seems to be intermittent, and there's like progressive MS, and I didn't really look into exactly what it was because I didn't really want to hear it, because it just really made me sad. So I'll have a look at it. I had to look at what MS is in general, but I didn't actually look into her story and what she was saying about it. So yeah, it just makes me really sad. And maybe contemplate fandom and how we relate to actors and celebrities that we don't actually know, the way that we sort of get attached to them and project onto them, and like some of these people really feel like extended family, like they're sort of like the cousin you always hear about but you never actually like meet, but you sort of know them but you don't. And that familiarity, I know a lot of people approach them with that, and it must be strange for celebrities to have these people act like they know them when they've never met them before. And I wonder if they've ever thought about what it is like from the other side, where you sort of have these people that you don't know but you feel like you know, and then but you don't really. So I'm sort of sad. I'm sort of mourning a little bit for these people, for their illnesses, because like what they're going through is really weird. Because then you think, why are you caring about this person you've never met? They're just an actor. They're just, that's just their job. Like, do you care about the postman like that? I mean, it's just very strange. But I hope they'll both be okay, because you never know. But I'd like to see Kathy again because she is hilarious, and her cancellation tour, where she basically was cancelled in America, so she toured the rest of the world doing a show about Trump, and she did really well, and she was really great when she came here. Didn't get anywhere near her, and I didn't even bother trying to because I thought she's going to be so paranoid. Her security is going to be so hard. She's not going to go near any stars. I mean, any people. Like, so I didn't even try. But the first time I really tried to see her in that because I thought it would happen. But yeah, I hope to see her again. I hope she comes back again. But she was running around Melbourne apparently doing stuff, so you could have bumped into her before she went on the show, but it was just a matter of being in the right place and the right time, and I wasn't up to stalking her. It just was too much effort. But I did kind of cancel a date the night that she was here, and I went to wait outside, and the guy was supposed to meet me, and I said, look, don't worry about it. He was going to meet me after work. I said, look, don't worry about it. I'm going to be doing this. And then he was like, no, I'll meet up with you afterwards. And then she ran late. And I said, no, don't worry, it's too late. And then he ended up coming, and then he couldn't find me, and I was waiting for her, and I'm like, oh, hot guy, possibly meeting Kathy Griffin. I chose Kathy, and this guy's like happily married now, and I'm like, yeah, I probably should have gone on the date because I didn't meet Kathy, and I'm single still. But, wow, I've been talking for 8 minutes, God. Okay, well, I needed some COVID therapy because I just, it's COVID therapy, YouTube therapy. It's all COVID therapy because I'm stuck in my home, so I'm talking to YouTube for therapy. But I don't know, really, Christina Applegate, I love her. I can't imagine anything bad happening to her. I wouldn't want anything bad happening to her. I really hope she's okay. It's just really sad and weird. And then I think, like I said before, why am I caring so much about these people I've never met? But I think it's human nature. You attach yourself to the characters. I know I don't know her, but I feel like I know her through her characters, and I love her characters. So that's kind of weird. But I'm going to go. Talking for 9 minutes, way too long. But yeah, life sucks sometimes. But they're rich. They've got, I'm sure, the best medical attention that money can buy. But we'll see what happens. I just hope it doesn't interfere with Christina's show, because I'm fairly sure it got renewed for a third season. So I mean, COVID's going to be hard enough, and yeah. I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.